to manage our patients, how to keep the distance, what to do, what not to do for our patients. We know a lot of things about the coronavirus. Now there are bombardment of the knowledge from all corners. We know about this virus, this deadly virus, to which I would like to personally call it as the Wuhan virus or the China virus, for which you may or may not be agree, but that is my choice. So, as on today, India is gradually, steadily increasing in its number of the coronavirus, Wuhan virus. The number of deaths has gone to 178, and good thing is that the patients are recovering also. The number of the deaths still are under control, so-called control. And if I talk about Jaipur, I think it's neither good, neither bad. We need to do more efforts. Good thing is that probably number of patients are still less in our country. And and with this, I welcome my panelists to all of you. We have Professor Dana with us, Head of the Radiation Oncology at SMS Medical College, Dr. Sumita Jain, Professor Surgery with the special interest in the breast and gynec surgery from the SMS Medical College. We have Dr. Lalit Mohan Sharma, my colleague, and Dr. Pawan Agarwal, my colleague, medical oncologist from Bhagwan Mahavir Cancer Hospital. And we have surgical oncologist also on the panel, Dr. Naveen Sharma from the Apex Hospital, Jaipur. So I welcome all my esteemed panelists. I welcome all the participants, and I can see on my screen here that 26 participants so far has been connected. That's a good number as far as the Jaipur or the Rajasthan are concerned. So I would like to share with all my participants here that they can send their questions, specific questions, which should be a short question, which should be a very crystal clear in your mind, that how it can help us, how it can help government, how it can help our patients, what to do in this pandemic period, what to do in this lockdown period, how to manage, how to take care of the cancer patients. So any short message from any of the panelists here?
Yeah, I would just like to say.
Yes, Dr. Dana, please. So I will request one by one only. I will call the name of the participant or the panelist. That time you can speak so that there is no any jumbling or any confusion. So I request and invite Dr. Dana to speak something. Dr. Dana, please. So, if Dr. Dana is not connected, can I request Dr. Sumita Jain? Dr. Sumita Jain.
Just check it.
So, Dr. Lalit, are you able to listen me?
Yes, so, yes, I can.
At the beginning, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think in this critical phase, we need to have some SOPs, and we need to try to formulate some local sort of guidelines so that it can help each one of us, and we can have discussion of SOPs for the hospitals, for patients, for doctors, hospital staff. We need to develop some strategy to protect ourselves and our hospital staff, and some part of telemedicine, how to communicate with patients and families. So I think
good, Dr. Pawan, we will move on this line only. So I request Dr. Pawan Agarwal also to say a few words of the wisdom in the beginning itself.
Yeah. No, Dr. Lalit has enumerated everything very carefully, and that should be kept in mind. And probably this meeting will lead to all the answer of Dr. Lalit's questions.
So, Dr. Sumita Madam, you want to say something different? You are probably representing 50% population. Dr. Sumita, please. Is there anybody from the netcast able to listen me? Why Dr. Dana and Sumita Jain, they are not able to speak?
Hello, Dr. Sohani, you are listening me?
Yes, sir. Yes, please, Dr. Dana, please go ahead.
I am agree with Dr. Lalit that there should be some platform. This is the platform. We have to come out with some guidelines for our Jaipur only, actually, because all the institutions, most of the institutions, they have come with the guidelines. So with this platform, we have to come up with some
So I do agree with Dr. Dana that the Jaipur has become the hot spot for the COVID or the Wuhan virus, and we need to have our own guidelines formulated. Dr. Sumita, are you connected now, Dr. Sumita? So meanwhile, if she's not connected, we should move further. Now,
Yeah, definitely. I think.
yeah, interesting thing which has come out from the China, from the retrospective analysis, that during this pandemic of the corona, the cancer patients, they have the more prevalence of the corona, they have the more prevalence of the death, little bit more death, they have a lot of other comorbid conditions. So far with the incidence and the prevalence of the corona in India, Dr. Dana, you are attached to the Premier Institute SMS Medical College, which is taking care of the corona patients. Do you agree that we need to worry for the cancer patients, that we are going to see the more mortality in the cancer patients because of this corona? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with you because the cancer patients are more low immunity, so they are more prone to the infection of the corona.
Yeah. Dr. Naveen, you are attached to the hospital which is taking care of the general patients also, all specialties. So, do you find that we need to really worry for our cancer patients in this corona pandemic? Do you agree for that?
Of course, sir, we should be worried because usually our patients are immunosuppressed than the general population.
Okay.
And being associated with a multi-specialty hospital, those patients are being handled the same way as other patients are being handled. But we have a screening protocol in place at the entrance of the hospital. So I think that is one good thing which Apex Hospital has done.
So
they have a screening protocol.
That is the point, to catch the patient earlier. Can I ask you a simple question in the mind, which may be in the mind of everyone? Dr. Lalit, do you really agree that the cancer patients are more prone for catching the corona infection?
Yeah, very true. Because of the suppressed immunity related to disease as well as treatment, they are more prone.
Okay. Hello?
Yes. I think they are more prone to catch infections. You can listen to me?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I think to add on Dr. Lalit Sharma, so there is some group of the patient which is more vulnerable to catch up the patient and more high mortality and high morbidity. Like one of the cancer patient is definitely, of course, if we see the data of the Italy and France, the 20 and 25% patient died because of the patient are getting the cancer treatment along with, and they got infected from the corona, and they have severe morbidity and mortality, and particularly mortality is very high to the cancer patient. And the second group of the elderly, of course. Third group is associated with the diabetes, of course, uncontrolled and controlled diabetes. And third thing associated with smoking habits, means patient have a COPD, bronchial asthma, and so many problem of the related to the decreased reservoir of pulmonary activity.
So these are the data available, and we do agree that the same situation is for us also. So making our patients also vulnerable. I request and urge all the participants. I can see here 31 participants so far. Any question in the beginning or any time, you please try to get connected to us. If anybody is not able to get connected, they can WhatsApp me their question, and I will try to answer it immediately. I can see here Dr. Anil Kumar Gupta, surgical oncologist from Bhagwan Mahavir. Are you able to listen me, Dr. Anil Kumar Gupta? So, is there any specific question from your side? Dr. Anil Kumar Gupta?
Anil Kumar Gupta is not means audio connected nahi hai abhi. Unka
okay, so we will get his question later on. Okay, no issue. So we do agree that there is a problem of cancer, more fatality in this all in the COVID period.
Correct.
Now, Chinese authorities, they have developed some guidelines and regarding the chemotherapy, radiotherapy, delaying the surgery, this and that. We will come to this question little later on. So I'm moving further from here. Similarly, ESCO has also given us the guidelines in this period, basically for the chemoimmunotherapy regarding surgery, regarding switching the treatment from the IV to the oral, delaying this and that. Now, one interesting thing which I would like to have the experience from all of you, if you come across recently Rajasthan Medical Council, Dr. Sumit Ranawat.
Mobile off. Mobile off.
So Dr. Sumit Ranawat has given the notice that we can do the telemedicine, we can do the WhatsApp consultation, and we can do the video calling, and we can prescribe this also. Now, my question is to Dr. Sumita Jain. Madam, are you able to listen me? Dr. Sumita Jain? I don't know what the problem is. The Netcast people are able to correct this problem of Dr. Sumita Jain. So, can I ask to Dr. Lalit Mohan?
Yes.
How you are seeing this thing? Is it really being utilized? How to propagate it? How to make it popular? How it is making safe our patient regarding this telemedicine?
I think most of us during this COVID period are already practicing this in a non-formal way. We are seeing patients' reports, we are seeing their old prescriptions, we are writing new prescriptions, we are sending them by WhatsApp. So this all telemedicine in non-formal way we are practicing. But again,
so are you taking any telemedicine consent from them? Is it required?
In fact, recently I attended 2 classes from Dr. Purvish Parikh mentioning about the medico-legal aspect and about the telemedicine. So if the conversation has been started from the patient's end, if he had sent you a request that I want to consult and this is my father's report, then the consent is already implied. So actual consent is not needed if the patient has initiated this. Other way could be practical, that we have our own separate number. So if somebody is calling me on my cell phone, I may ask them to connect me or send me a report on my WhatsApp. So that report sending itself is that patient is seeking my opinion or he wants to consult me. So that is one way. Other way is that this is only applicable in case of non-emergency stable patients. It cannot be for an emergency situation. Third thing, I think we should be able to make out with the previous reports if he's follow-up patient of our hospital, say Mahavir Cancer Hospital, ladies on hormone therapy, on ALL maintenance therapy, then simply asking them to send their blood reports and we can prescribe them back, mentioning that you can review after 3 months or so. So this part...
Dr. Dana, what is your view regarding the consent for the telemedicine? Are you practicing? Have you designed anything for your patient, or it is being implied as the RMC has given us the this authorization?
Still, our department is not practicing the telemedicine. But on the patients who are on follow, and if they telephonic call to us, then we can suggest that you have to report to the nearby physicians, and
or you can
then we have to interact with the physician and then advise them to
message रिसीव करेगा, सामने बैठ जाएंगे.
Dr. Sumita madam, I have to repeatedly call her and I don't know what's the problem. Dr. Sumita,
I think there's a problem with audio transmission because Anil sir also has been typing that he is not able to understand what is being said.
Okay.
In the chat box,
there is a request from Dr. Subhas that please come out with a clear policy on the all modalities of treatment for the new and the old cancer patients. So regarding this question, he needs a clear policy on the all modalities of the treatment. So can I ask Dr. Naveen Sharma here that what policy he would like to narrate here in simple 3 sentences? Elective surgery, semi-elective surgery, emergency surgery. What should be the take-home message from your side? Dr. Naveen Sharma, surgical oncologist.
So in the present scenario, any surgery which has to be performed has to be done with full protective gear. That's what I would like to say. Emergency surgeries, as the term implies, cannot be deferred, so they have to be performed. Even if it is a cancer surgery, it has to be performed. All elective surgeries which have a lower risk of progression or advancement of stage over the next 1 to 2 months should be deferred.
So, Dr. Naveen, can I ask you a question? Suppose you have a patient of an intestinal obstruction CA ovary, and patient has been previously treated with a
पहले
surgery,
ठट्टा करो, सबकी आवाज
chemotherapy,
आई रही थी।
progressive disease, and intestinal obstruction is there, and there is no much hope left with the chemotherapy also. It's an emergency or semi-emergency. Do you find the
Sir,
justification
it is-
operating this patient?
Sir, we cannot justify operating this patient in any scenario because intestinal obstruction in a patient of CA ovary who has already been treated is usually the terminal event.
Okay.
So in any
we
scenario,
need
surgery is
to
not justified.
we need to justify the emergency also, and we
Yes,
need to
sir, of course.
justify the possible outcome out of this emergency procedure.
Sir, any emergency which may prolong the life of the patient or give a better quality of only those patients should be operated.
So,
I think
Dr. Pawan, Dr. Pawan,
नरेश जी
how
मैं ये
you
चाह रहा
would
था
like, Dr. Pawan, can I ask you a question? How you would like to categorize your patients whom you would like to call irrespective of the corona pandemic? Tell me the patient situation whom you would like to call for the treatment, especially please limit yourself to the
ये
solid
फोन पे
tumor.
बात करेंगे।
करेक्ट सो
Yeah.
मैं बात तो यही करना चाह रहा था कि जैसे मैं आपकी बात का भी जवाब देता हूँ। एक छोटा सा सवाल मेरा ये है कि एक सर्जन, हम सर्जन के व्यू जाने कि वो कौन कौन सी सर्जरी कर सकता है,
जी।
हम रेडिएशन के व्यू जाने कि वो कौन
Yeah.
कौन सी
We
रेडियोथेरेपी
will be coming to the radiation. You please tell us about the solid tumor.
अब मैं मेरी बात पे आता हूँ कि हम कौन सी कीमो दे सकते हैं। तो कुछ ऐसी ब्रेस्ट कैंसर की ज़्यादातर हमारे पास कीमो होती है, तो हम ब्रेस्ट कैंसर की कीमोथेरेपी पोस्ट ऑपरेटिव एडजुवेंट कीमोथेरेपी वो 1 दिन की है, हम वो कीमोथेरेपी दे सकते हैं। वी हैव टू कंटिन्यू विद दैट कीमोथेरेपी। अगर
Good.
किसी को 4 थेरेपी लग गई है, 5 लग गई है, वी कैन डेफर टू
Yeah.
छठी का हम
Yeah.
कह सकते हैं कि बाद में आओ,
Yeah.
और वो कीमोथेरेपी हम दे सकते हैं। अगर पेशेंट रिमोट एरिया का, प्रॉब्लम हमें नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम सारे हिंदुस्तान को है।
So
The
be
patient,
please
again,
please continue. We need to limit ourselves to the
so
rather
breast
पहले तो
cancer है,
बात
breast
करें।
cancer की 1 डे कीमोथेरेपी होती है यूजुअली, दैट वी कैन डिलीवर।
Yeah.
हाँ, हेड एंड नेक की है, एडजुवेंट न्यू एडजुवेंट देते हैं और कई बार हम कंकरेंट भी देते हैं। तो न्यू एडजुवेंट जो हम डीएफ प्रोटोकॉल है उसको हम कार्बोप्लेटिन और पैक्लिटैक्सेल कीमोथेरेपी में 1 डे की कीमोथेरेपी में दे सकते हैं इफ पेशेंट एबल टू केम टू आवर हॉस्पिटल एंड पेशेंट इन लाइन, or definitely the surgeon would not like to do surgery at this section, so we can defer the surgery for giving him or her for chemotherapy for 1 or 2 or 3 cycle till
Hello?
this period is over. So
Hello?
head and neck, breast, and we can
Hello,
also
but
deliver
the
lung
presentation
cancer.
started,
Lung cancer
sir?
is difficult scenario
Yeah.
for us
So,
because
Dr. Pawan,
lung cancer have associated with
नहीं,
the
but मैं
mimic
नहीं सुन
symptom
पा
of
रही
corona. So the hospital authority and other authority, even ourselves, cannot make out that this problem, breathlessness or some other things are because of the corona and because of the disease related. So in lung cancer, definitely we have to be little customized with ourselves. If
Yeah,
patient
so-
have a adenocarcinoma, irrespective of the, we are knowing that patient have a EGFR positive or ALK positive or not positive, we can start the gefitinib. And
Good,
if a
good.
patient is common cell carcinoma, other things carcinoma, we can make a etoposide endoxifen therapy for a longer period if patient is stable and patient can means able to tolerate for 2 or 3 months, and later on we can start the judicious protocol for the treatment.
So,
And
yeah,
for
Dr.
the other
Pawan,
things,
Dr. Pawan, please. So, Dr. Sumita Jain, are you connected now? Dr. Sumita Jain.
डॉक्टर सुमिता।
Dr. Sumita, are you connected now, ma'am?
उनको एक्चुअली क्या है, आवाज नहीं आ पा रही है।
Okay. So there are two questions. One to the surgeon, Dr. Naveen. There is a question that after going from the clinic or hospital, when we go back to the
हाँ नॉट अलाउ है, अलाउ करके रिफ्रेश कर दूँ। हमारी है ना मेरा
Naveen ji.
Sir, you are not audible. Now you are audible, sir.
नवीन जी आपकी बारी है.
Sir, I was not able to hear anything. There was a problem with the audio connection. It was not audible. So can I have the question again?
हाँ. Behalf of Dr. Somani, I would like to ask you.
माइक्रोफोन के आगे अपने आप क्रॉस आ जाता है.
Surgery you can perform at this juncture.
Sir, only emergency surgeries which can be life-saving, or urgent surgeries in which the surgeon really feels that there might be a progression of disease to inoperable stage within the
3 week or 4 week, or you would like to do surgery because the breast cancer is a simple surgery.
हेलो. तो ये जो पार्टिसिपेंट्स है नीचे उसमें एक आ रहा है, एक तो माइक्रोफोन जो बने आ रहे हैं, एक में तो ऑल है लिखा हुआ, एक हाँ पार्टिसिपेंट से ज्वाइन किया है.
Audible now? Hello?
Yes, Dr. Somani.
Yeah. Sorry, there was a poor connection from my side. Dr. Naveen, are you able to listen me now? Dr. Naveen? Yes, कुछ जा नहीं रहा आवाज. Dr. Lalit?
Yes, I can listen to you. I think most of us are making a mistake in this, that there is a 3 buttons where audio is there. So we need to unmute our audio before we speak or listen.
Yeah.
So can I?
Dr. Sunita, are you back?
हाँ, हिस्ट्री आ गया.
Dr. Naveen?
हिस्ट्री पे क्लिक करूँ ना पहले, तो हिस्ट्री पे तो क्लिक करूँ पहले. ये 3 आ रहे हैं उसमें तो.
So Dr. Naresh, can I continue till others are connected?
Yeah, you please continue.
So I think about the chemotherapy part, to me it looks that we start with solid tumors, so we need to decide about whether the chemotherapy is curative or it can lead to significant improvement in the survival, or it is leading to improvement in quality of life, because even in palliative also many times we get a window of opportunity to give chemotherapy. If we lose the that gap, we will never be able to give the patient chemotherapy and benefit.
So Dr. Lalit, can I ask you the very specific question?
Yes.
Regarding a newly diagnosed patient of acute leukemia, let's say adult patient, 25-30 years old patient, acute myeloid or acute lymphoblastic for that matter. Right. How you will manage the acute leukemia in this pandemic period?
So I think if we talk about ALL first, we will see whether it is pH positive, pH negative. If it is pH positive, then tyrosine kinase inhibitor plus steroids, these 2 drugs will be good enough for some time to give the at least induction phase. Okay. And if in between the permission, if the situations allow, we can go ahead with weekly vincristine, or we can give pegylated L-asparaginase depending on the circumstances and availability.
So people will be interested knowing that what is the hindrance of doing the proper treatment of ALL since beginning.
So from ALL side, if you want to keep the patient admitted, it will be requiring at least 2 to 3 weeks stay in the hospital, because most commonly we are not able to discharge them for 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks. So more and more prolonged hospitalization is there, more and more movement of patient, relatives, hospital staff, everything will be there. And we are worried, since we don't have a separate mechanism to find out and to isolate the suspected COVID patient. So there is a risk that once any COVID patient positive is getting entry into the hospital, all these patients who are admitted with high risk, because corticosteroids are one of the backbone. So these patients are at high risk to catch the COVID infection, and once they catch, there is high risk of mortality and fatality in this group of patients.
So same applies to the AML also?
Exactly. So for AML patient, if it is a elderly person, we will like to manage them with azacitidine, say for 5 days on daycare basis, rather than giving them full chemotherapy. And we give 2-3 months of therapy, and then we give them a definitive treatment with the 3+7 and other protocol. And if it is an patient who has already achieved remission post-induction and patient is for high dose Araci, we will like to reduce the dose rather than keeping it 18 grams per meter square. We reduce it to 9 grams or 10 grams per meter square, so that the severe neutropenic complications are less, and we will use growth factors more rapidly rather than.
That is a clear message from your side, how to manage the acute leukemia. Now let's finish the chronic leukemias also in the continuity.
Yes.
What is your approach for managing the both chronic leukemia, CML and CLL at this stage?
So again, CML, we are not confused much because most patients are able to tolerate the TKI very well. So we can start with TKI, and mostly the even periphery part also, the CBC is available easily. So we ask them to send the report, and we send them the treatment. Also, the tablets can be procured from nearby medical store in any big town. And even in government hospitals, the imatinib is available freely. So CML management is not a problem, and we are able to handle them well. And we are trying to give them at least medicine for next 3 months, and we ask them to do CBC at least 4 to 6 weeks a time, and keep sending us the report through telemedicine. So that CML part.
Yeah. So Dr. Dana, are you able to listen me, Dr. Dana?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So my question is very specific. Let's say the major chunk of our patient is the head neck cancer, and we know that the treatment is the concurrent CTRT, those patients which are not operable. I mean, in very general, I'm talking. So do you see that you want to start all these patients radiotherapy, chemotherapy in this pandemic era, or you want to give them the 2 or 3 cycles of the new adjuvant paclicarbo one day, and then you try to give the radiation later on once the pandemic is over? So what is your approach right now in head and neck cancer?
And head and neck cancer, if the patient is in the early stage of disease,
okay,
then we have to go for the radiotherapy first.
Okay.
And if the patient is in the stage 3rd or stage 4, then we have to go for the 1 or 2 cycles of chemotherapy and defer the radiotherapy for 1 to 2 months or 2 to 3 months.
So my question is very specific, that you as such you can start the radiation chemotherapy, but that treatment will go for 6 to 7 weeks. Agreed?
Yeah.
So the patient will be exposed to the SMS hospital or any big hospital for 6 to 7 weeks. So in early stage means something like T3N1 tumor, you want to give them chemotherapy 1 or 2 cycles and then give the radiotherapy later on, or you want to start the radiotherapy?
We want to start because this is the standard protocol as per the NCCN guideline. We cannot refer the patient to any other protocol. We have to go for the radiotherapy with chemotherapy for the early stage patients.
Okay. So there are 41 participants right now, just to inform you. And if Dr. Rakesh Gupta is listening me correctly, he can post his questions again. I can see him that he's listening us. Dr. Karun Sethi, our nuclear medicine people, is also on there. And Dr. Sumita Jain, are you finally connected?
Yeah, now I can. Now I can hear.
Oh, welcome. We all were eagerly waiting for you. Now I think it has become glamour, it has become complete, and you are representing the 50% population, ma'am. Welcome you. And the question to you, being a surgeon, is that when you go back from the hospital, back to the home, what precaution you take when you enter the home?
Actually, I have given the recommendation to my whole department that when you go back home, you just treat yourself like as if you are coming back from the funeral. So you have to change everything. You have to take bath and then go enter in the home.
Okay. So what do you do with these disposables? Are you throwing them per day basis, or you are reusing them?
Actually, gloves, and if it's triple layer mask, we are throwing it. But if it's N95, then there are recommendations, there are guidelines that you can reuse it. You have to cycle it out of 3
We
days.
want to listen what Dr. Sumita Jain is doing. We are not here to talk about the standard guidelines. What we are practicing, what message we want to give to the doctors of the Rajasthan, oncologists of the Rajasthan. What are you practicing?
Yeah, because of
Correct,
shortage
correct.
of 95N mask, you
Yeah.
can reuse it, but you can reuse it only after 3 to 4 days after keeping it in the sunlight. There are some literature now it says that even you can heat it in microwave, but I am not sure about it that how much efficacy it
So
remains.
Dr.
So it's
Umesh is
better
asking the same
cycle it.
question. What about the cloth? What about the cloth? Dr. Umesh is asking. Need to simply wash or you do anything else?
No, simply wash it and don't use it. Keep it in sunlight and use it after 3-4 days.
Okay, okay.
If you want to
And
use.
there is a specific question to Dr. Dana that for these head neck patients, the question is from the nuclear medicine colleague Dr. Karun, that how dependent you are on the staging CT scan in your hospital, or you want to wait for the PET CT scan done elsewhere. In this COVID era, are you doing based on the CT scan, or you want to wait for the PET CT scan which is done somewhere else?
We are not
Dr.
waiting
Dana.
for the PET. We are not waiting for the PET CT scan. If the patient comes to us, if the CT scan has been done, we are relying on the CT scan and plan the patient according to the.
Okay. So now another arm which is important in our management is the immunotherapy. We have the two medical oncologists here. So, and everyone is now well versed with the immunotherapy they are using in the day-to-day practice. Dr. Pawan. So what are you doing
No,
for
but
the
this
immunotherapy?
question, listen, this question is from us to you. So you should explain what
Okay.
immunotherapy we can use in this era.
Okay, so let me explain it quickly that the immunotherapy presently practically being used maximum in the lung cancer NSCLC, maybe first line, maybe second line, practically maximum in the second line. So as far as the present scenario is concerned, I am dividing patients in the two category. Those patients on immunotherapy stable, taking since long time, let's say 10 cycles, 15 cycles, good response, stable. I try to delay their immunotherapy. Instead of the 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I try to make it the 4-week schedule. And I believe
Okay.
that is not losing much on that. Those patients who are on the immunotherapy in the beginning phase, like 1, 2, 3 cycles, where we need some response, for which the immunotherapy has been started, I advise them that please continue your immunotherapy. Otherwise, probably it will not be of any benefit starting the treatment whichever we have already started on you. So that is my practical approach as far as the immunotherapy is concerned. Now, important aspect of this is that presently we are having the clinical trial also in which the immunotherapies are being given. So we are not trying to delay their undue. We are taking their consent. We are informing to the sponsor, and we are informing to the ethics committee also. We are taking the separate consent for the COVID also, and then we are giving the immunotherapy. We have given so far 3-4 patients immunotherapy during this COVID period, and so far everything is going well. Any comment from the panelist? Quick comment from the panelist here.
Now, I think you have a vast experience of using immunotherapy, and we have to, because this meeting is only just to learn, everybody to learn to each others. So I think we should continue this kind of practice, and our listener or our listeners should be follow that practice. And continuation with this breast cancer trastuzumab, we can continue trastuzumab as an adjuvant setting at least, and of course we can continue as a
so now very
metastatic setting
important,
also.
interesting thing, Dr. Pawan, you have raised regarding adjuvant trastuzumab. Now my question is, suppose a patient is on somewhere on the end of the 6 months of the trastuzumab.
Very right.
Would you recommend to stop at the 6-month treatment, considering it as the sufficient treatment, or you would like to go for the 1 year of the treatment?
This is a very tricky question. So it depends. The patient able to reach our hospital easily, then it should be continued. And if it is difficult to reach our hospital, then we can defer and we can we can see after the this COVID period.
Yeah. So Dr. Sumita Jain, are you able to listen me, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now very specific question. You are working in the biggest hospital of the Rajasthan, where at the one end the COVID is there, at the other end you people are there, and you are trying to do surgery. Lot of pressure you must be there on you to by the patients to do the surgery. So how you are managing your patients? Are you able to delay them? Which patients you are doing the surgery? We are talking only for the oncology patients.
Yeah, that's true. Basically, all the guidelines says as we are in phase 2 and we may end up in phase 3. So we have to
Yeah.
preserve our resources like hospital ICU
Okay.
beds, healthcare professionals, PPE, transfusions. So it's better to do only life-threatening surgeries or emergency surgeries, even if it's related to cancer, and avoid all elective surgery. All guidelines says the same thing. But
So suppose
at
suppose
some
an
places,
operable,
yeah,
please. Yeah,
yeah,
suppose
please,
an
you can.
operable breast cancer is there.
Yes.
So what you do?
Then you have to see the tumor biology. If it's
Okay.
hormone positive cancer, you can extend by giving hormone therapy. But if it's triple negative, HER2 positive cancer, then it should be discussed in MDT virtual meet, and then it should be decided case to case.
So when you choose the hormone therapy as new adjuvant setup in this operable patient, what sort of the
Yes.
consent you want to explain to us, which we should take for the patient?
We have to take
Hormone
proper
therapy
consent.
as
Yeah.
new adjuvant in ERPR, HER negative patient, otherwise
Yes.
operable patient. I think this
Yes.
is not unusual. This is a very practical or common scenario.
Yes.
Yes, we have to give, we have to take informed consent from the patient. We have to tell her, we have to make her understand that it's the MDT decision based on the resources available, based on your tumor biology, based on your disease prevalence, and based on the impact of outcome by this treatment. So
If
after
I
that, we have
make
decided.
if I make a very general statement to all the 5 panelists here, we have the MDT here, we have the surgeon, we have Dr. Sumita Jain as
Yes.
the representing a different scenario, Dr. Dana radiation, and 2 medical oncologists and myself. If I say that any operable breast cancer, irrespective of the biology, ERPR separate, HER separate, triple negative separate, every patient in this pandemic of the COVID should receive new adjuvant treatment. Do you agree? The panel do agree with me?
Yes.
I agree with you, Dr.
Yes.
Somani.
I agree.
Dr. Dana?
Yes, I agree.
Correct.
So
Yes.
type of
Agree,
therapy may
agree.
differ depending on the hormone therapy or the TNBC. But I think we do agree that all these patient
Agree.
pregnancies should be managed
Agree.
until very small tumor, something like T1 tumor or something like 65-year-old lady where probably the new adjuvant, adjuvant therapy itself may not be of much indication. So that is the one important statement. The message goes to the 41 participants who are there right now with me. That's the good number, and I welcome them once again, and I'm thankful to them all again. So that is all about the surgical aspect, and I think this surgical aspect depends on the availability, resources, infrastructure, manpower, keeping them in the reserve, the post-operative care, the infrastructure, the ICU care, how you want to utilize, how you want to spare them. That is very, very important as far as the surgical is concerned. Dr. Naveen, you want to make any comment here?
I absolutely agree with the findings we have done.
Dr. Somani, can I add something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, in fact, what you say seems to be absolutely right. And if we see the literature, there has been a lot of mortalities in patients who even have undergone elective surgeries because they were either asymptomatic or the virus could not be detected at time of surgery. Even after good screening for COVID, the patient have been subjected for surgery and the morbidity was higher because of the viremia was high at the time of surgery and in the nearest post-op also.
So there is a one.
So I think that is great decision
There is a
that we
question
subject.
from Dr.
Yes.
Dilip. I think must be the Dilip. Dr. Dilip, your question is, N95 can be sterilized using ultraviolet light or simply storing the mask for 4 days, heat and microwaving destroy the N95 respirator. So any panelist would like to make any comment, especially my surgical colleague here, regarding the
Recommendation is
sterilization
now
of the N95?
You better recycle it after 3-4 days. You can use it after keeping it in sunlight.
Okay. Okay.
One more this thing I want to add is that we have to divide patient now in 3 categories: low risk patient, intermediate risk patient, and high risk patient. So low risk, no need to surgery. Intermediate risk, definitely MDT decision is must, and calculate risk benefit ratio and then decide. And for high risk, definitely we have to go for surgery.
Any other comment from any panelist here? I'm going through the lot of questions, bombardment of the question is there. Important questions I am taking, and I request all the participants, please come out with your questions, your comments. So this, and Dr. Karun is behind us. He is again asking that, do you want to do a baseline staging before starting new adjuvant treatment? If I limit this question to the breast, Dr. Naveen, you want to say anything?
Sir, if it is, we have talked about operable breast cancer mainly. So we all have agreed that rather than a baseline staging and exposing the diagnostic technicians and the person reporting the scans, I would rather go for neoadjuvant treatment, defer the surgery for later than operable breast cancer.
And Dr. Ledwani's question is here, but I couldn't get this question. So I request him to retype and make this question. What about T1 Nomax early breast cancer? I don't know what he wanted to write. So I request him to please retype.
He want to say very early breast cancer should be operate or neoadjuvant, I think.
Ledwani was asking early stage operable breast cancer and early stage lower alveolus cancer with no nodes.
So his question is lower alveolar cancer, N0 nodes. What is the role of the neoadjuvant chemotherapy? Dr. Ledwani, let me be very clear at this stage, and through this webinar, I want to give you one very important message. If you read the pandemic rules, which are applicable throughout the country, including Jaipur, Rajasthan, anything which is done in the good faith, you cannot be questioned for that. So even if the lower alveolar is small tumor and if I give neoadjuvant chemotherapy, probably I am safe. I cannot be questioned for that. That is probably the answer in the pandemic way, not in the scientific answer. The scientific answer, I believe, I am very sure Dr. Ledwani knows it better than all of us.
Yes. Very, very right, Dr. Somani. What you say seems absolutely
right. That is the pandemic rule. We all need to read it. Now, when especially this question applies again to the SMS doctors or the other who are working in the general hospital, Dr. Naveen Sharma and all those people, that when the critically ill patient with the suspected COVID-19 approaches you or come as the cross reference, what is your steps or protocol? How do you manage, segregate them? How you manage them in the ICU? Any of you would like to talk, Dr. Sumita or Dr. Naveen Sharma?
So Sumita ma'am should answer this question. I have not been exposed to this situation in my
life. Very good. You are lucky one.
Sir, thank you so much.
We just take physician reference and whatever they decide to the patient, whether to shift to the COVID positive ward, acute respiratory ward, semi-acute respiratory ward, ICU ward, they manage it accordingly.
Okay. So you try to segregate them early. Suppose you have the COVID positive and your patient is cancer patient. So where you want to lodge this patient? Somewhere in ICU, somewhere in the separate COVID ward? How you manage that patient?
Separate COVID ward.
So how do you take care of the
treatment and then cancer?
How do you take care of the oncology aspect in those patients?
First COVID treatment and then oncology treatment.
Okay. So if there is no dire emergency as far as the oncology is concerned, it should be deferred. So I think that message should be very clear until some parallel to the COVID, there is a parallel oncology emergency, something like bleeding or perforation or obstruction that can be dealt. Otherwise, in all sense, pandemic, corona, for the betterment of the patient, for the betterment of the caregivers, and for betterment of the society at large, has to be given the priority. Very clear. Now we try to discuss the teleconsultation in the beginning. Now very burning questions, and I think the house must be divided. Are you charging these patients when you do the telemedicine or WhatsApp consultation or any sort of the consultation? Are you charging from that? Dr. Lalit.
Yeah, I think that is very, very relevant question, that the free service cannot be offered and sustained for long. So till date, I have not charged a single penny for teleconsultation. And to many of my patients, those who are educated, those who are asking me that how can I make payment for your charges consultation, I ask them to deposit money in the primary
Paytm, etc.
Yes.
Paytm, Google Pay, PayMe.
till date. Only two patients have paid. So I think at this platform
so we have the panelists from the government setup, medical college. Dr. Dana, do you agree, or you find it a very, very cruel method of talking that in this pandemic era we should not talk about the consultation?
We should not tell all about the consultations in this pandemic era.
In this pandemic era, Dr. Dana is very clear. There is no question of charging. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Sumita, madam, do you differ or?
Yeah. In this outbreak, definitely we should not charge. But in future, because now government has allowed teleconsultation, we should go through the website, and there are websites which deposit amount from the patient, and as soon as they call you and they consult you, the amount is deducted. Your consultation charge is deducted. So later on, definitely we'll have to start, but not at present scenario.
So when we do the physical consultation, we do a lot of family counseling, anxiety, depression, psychological distress, everything is there. And that also applies in the pandemic era right now also. And I personally believe that Dr. Pawan Agarwal is very good in doing the psycho-counseling to our patient. Dr. Pawan, in this way of telemedicine, web-mediated consultation, how do you do the psycho-counseling with the patient?
कुछ ऐसा है कि मैं ये कोशिश करता हूँ कि ये मेडिसिन जो है मैं आपको लिख के दे रहा हूँ, ये आप ले लीजिए और ये लेते रहेंगे, आपकी बीमारी ठीक रहेगी. लेकिन अगर आप आते हैं और आने में ये बीमारी लग गई, जो कि आपकी लगने की चांसेस प्रोबेबिलिटी ज़्यादा है और फिर ठीक होने के चांसेस उससे भी कम है, तो बेटर यही है कि जो मैं आपको मेडिसिन दे रहा हूँ आप उसको विश्वास मान के और ले लीजिए और घर में रहें और अच्छा खाना पीना खाएं. तो यही मेरी उससे वो रहता है रिक्वेस्ट. और जैसे ही लॉकडाउन खुलेगा हम आपको दोबारा से कॉल करेंगे और वापस आके आपका इलाज अच्छे से करने की कोशिश करेंगे.
So can I add to that, Naresh?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, in reference to my other panelists saying that it should not be chargeable and it should be complimentary, we are medico-legally also equally liable for penalties if anything goes wrong, and we are answerable in the court of law also if anything goes against us based on teleconsultation. The teleconsultation is equal to physical consultation, and if needed, we can ask, which I did, we can ask the patient and family that we will have a video chat so that you can have examination of patient, and if needed, you can ask the patient to go to a nearby physician and rely on physician's examination finding. If anything is being offered free for longer period, the value will not be same, and we will lose the integrity, and we will be medically.
We will go in the economic recession. That is important, and I'm very sure. Don't worry, Dr. Dana is there to keep us sustainable for a long time. So that is the message I can give on behalf of Dr. Dana, Dr. Sumita Jain. They will keep a sustainable model for a long time. Don't worry. That is the, division of the opinion of the house. Don't worry. Now we have Dr. Surendra.
One thing I want to add.
Yeah.
One thing.
The government has endorsed the list.
Dr. Sumita madam. Yeah, one by one, please.
The government has endorsed the list of the drugs which you can prescribe and which you cannot prescribe. So kindly go through those lists and then only prescribe the medicine. That's very
Dr. Dana, please. Dr. Dana.
अभी कुछ दिनों पहले व्हाट्सएप पे व्हाट्सएप ज्ञान आया था कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी given some guidelines कि in this pandemic situations you can consult on the telemedicine and as well as on the phone. You can prescribe or you can advise patients of their certain painkiller medicines or some other.
Now there is a question from Dr. Surendra Beniwal, medical oncologist from Bikaner Medical College. His question is to the medical oncologist: what is the minimal protective requirement for nurses in a daycare chemotherapy ward? Minimum protective requirement for nursing staff in chemotherapy ward. Dr. Lalit, you want to say?
Yeah, I think now AIMS has issued and the ICMR also has issued very clear guidelines that patients who are not having any suspect of COVID, there the surgical mask, gown and gloves, cap, these are the things which is needed. Even for doctors also sitting in OPD, like our OPD sitting say and seeing patients which has been pre-screened, no fever, no sign symptom suggestive of COVID, no history of travel and other parameters, only surgical mask, cap, gown, gloves, these are the only thing needed.
I think the message has gone to Dr. Surendra Beniwal. Dr. Pawan, you want to add something here?
No, it's enough. I think a cap is again it's important. So 4 factors are enough: gloves, gown, mask, and so
Okay.
four things are enough.
Anything more from Dr. Dana side regarding the radiotherapy guidelines, managing, taking up the patient? Suppose you have a new patient, something like T2N1 in the head neck cancer. How long you want to keep this patient waiting? Head neck cancer, let's say base of tongue, T1N1 or T2N1, something like that. Dr. Dana? If he is not able to connect us, can we move further? Any other question or any comment from the audience side? I think we are somewhere around end of our session. We have almost 1 hour. So anything from our colleague side, panelist side?
Yeah, I think Dr. Dilip is asking that. Yeah, can I say?
Yes, please go ahead.
Dr. Dilip is asking that each BMC HRC having screening of patient for flu symptoms before they come to us for consultation.
Yes, please.
I think Dr. Somani, you want to address this issue? How BMC HRC is doing?
On behalf of BMC HRC, on behalf of all of you too, and I was in OPD 2 days back, and because we are doing the OPD on rotation basis, I can say very authoritatively, very confidently that yes, we are screening them at the entry point. Then we have the separate room where they are being screened for the symptoms, examined, and then only they are allowed to move further. All attendant patients, they are being offered the thermal scan, temperature checking, that is the infrared, no touching. And once we are sure, then only we allow them to enter inside the hospital. So that is the message I want to give to the audience through this webinar. I think, is it sufficient?
Can I add one more point to this?
Yeah.
So, in addition to what you have mentioned about the BMC HRC, we have devised one consent form also where the patient gives a declaration that he has come to the hospital at his own wish and he knows about the COVID problems and he might carry infection which may be dangerous to the hospital, or the hospital may give him COVID also. He is at risk to catch that COVID infection also. So this declaration that he has not traveled any outside, he does not have any COVID positive relative, he does not have any history of coming in contact with COVID positive. This all declaration also is being signed with patient, one of their relatives, treating doctor, and one of the hospital authorities.
Yeah. So I have Dr. Mohit Modi, our DNB resident medical oncologist. We certainly need to encourage them. His question is that how to differentiate between simple fever and COVID fever. So I think Dr. Pawan Agarwal, you want to comment something?
Yes. Simple fever is a fever which is more than 100 degrees centigrade, means less than 100 degrees centigrade, and COVID fever usually associated with more than 100 degree of temperature plus Fahrenheit of plus some body ache or headache or some nasal flu-like symptom. And this all tried become a more suspicious of COVID fever, and lesser degree of temperature, temperature is a simple fever.
So can I add one simple point for all of us, that if your patient is not having lung cancer or lung metastasis or lung involvement by the disease, and if you have respiratory symptoms, kindly try to take it as the COVID until proven otherwise. Any
Correct,
fever,
correct.
if it is
Agree.
not being explained by your chemotherapy or immediate post-operative period, please take it as the COVID fever until it is proven otherwise. It is good for patient, it is good for caretaker, and it is good for the hospital and all of us.
And
Dr.
good for us.
Ledwani is here again to ask one question. What about maintenance weekly chemotherapy? Dr. Ledwani, surgical oncologist, Bhagwan Mahavir Cancer Hospital. His question is, what about weekly maintenance chemotherapy?
In fact,
Yeah,
I am
so
not
Dr.
aware
Weekly-
of any.
So what to do with the weekly maintenance
Weekly
chemotherapy?
maintenance of what? I think he would like to ask the concurrent weekly
So
chemotherapy.
that is the one thing. Suppose you are giving patient weekly or once in 2 weeks, like cetuximab or something like that. What are you doing for that?
No,
Dr.
I
Pawan.
think that can be deferred to palliative care, means
Okay.
only palliative symptomatology.
Now a question which is being asked everywhere and every platform from Dr. Sandeep Gupta. What is your opinion regarding hydroxychloroquine prophylaxis for the doctors and the staff? Dr. Dana, are you following any protocol at your institution?
Yes, we are following because the government is providing the persons, these workers who are working in the COVID wards actually.
Yeah.
They are providing the hydroxychloroquine.
So you are not working in the COVID ward, you are working in the oncology ward and OPD.
Yeah,
Are
because
you
in oncology ward there is no provision for the hydroxychloroquine.
So are you taking it? Forget the government supply. I think I should ask this question to Dr. Pawan Agarwal again. Are you following the hydroxychloroquine prophylaxis for the oncology staff as you are working in the cancer hospital, not in the multi-specialty hospital?
Particularly in cancer hospital, I don't think we should go for prophylaxis. But
Dr. Naveen, that's all. Dr. Naveen.
Sir, I'm working in a multi-specialty hospital, so
Yeah.
we are going for executive prophylaxis.
So if I confess, I am taking hydroxychloroquine 800 milligram. That is the first 2 days BD, then 400 milligram once in a week, weekly basis for 7 weeks. That is personally I am taking without much argument on this. That is my opinion, and I will suggest that anyone who is working, seeing the patient, there is no harm taking the hydroxychloroquine if you do not have pre-existing cardiac problem.
No, I'm agree. I'm also taking this one, but your question is specifically to the cancer hospital is not necessary. Multi-specialty, definitely yes, and COVID hospital associated with oncology, definitely yes. So again,
another important
maybe yes and yes.
Okay. So another question is, we have the few patients only, but very unique set of the patient. That is the clinical trial patient. What to do? What are the guidelines? So I think that is the individual clinical trial based. They are permitting you to delay something. They are permitting you to make the telephonic call. But yes, if the important trial patient is there where the important treatment need to be given on the due time, you can always call the patient. You note it down. You note down with the sponsor. Get the approval from your ethics committee also, and try to manage these patients depending on what is there. And if suppose patient is developing the COVID infection, then you can request the sponsor to uncode the placebo versus the clinical trial drug also, that what actually it is, so that you can avoid the potential harm to the patient, drug to drug interaction also. So many things are there which you can do for the clinical trial patient. Dr. Lalit, you want to make any comment here?
No, I think you have already mentioned all points.
Go. So now I have one question.
Yeah.
Can oncologists, means basically oncologists, medical oncologists, or those oncologists who have a bone marrow transplant capabilities or having a blood transfusion capabilities, so can in Rajasthan, because we have a cancer hospital, we cannot start the treating of a plasma, the COVID asymptomatic or corrected patient, means recover patient, collect the plasma and give to the patient the same blood.
I think Dr. Pawan, it's a good thing you generated it, and it has come in the research papers also, but I think it is not in our domain, so probably we will not
Yes.
discuss it here. And Dr. Mohit Modi is again with the question that how to differentiate and manage malignancy associated dyspnea versus COVID-1. So Dr. Modi, I would like to say that our job should be to differentiate between the two rather than managing the two. We have to manage only the malignancy related dyspnea, not the COVID related dyspnea. Be very clear. At any stage, if you suspect that the patient is COVID, immediately send the patient in the specialist, and otherwise you will invite more trouble for everyone.
Correct.
Yeah.
Dr. Karun has a question. Dr. Somani, can you see that?
Yeah. If a patient has positive screening, do you turn him back or what? Is a setup like BMC Charsi where there is no COVID ward? So Dr. Karun, again, let me answer it that we are not authorized, we are not supposed to manage the COVID patient. We do the screening, that is the clinical screening. If we suspect, patient need to go for the RT-PCR based methodology. Patient need to go to either RUHS or to the SMS if I answer specifically the names of the hospital. So one should be very clear. If it is the COVID, please send immediately.
Even
Any
the
other
origination of the
comment from the panelists, my esteemed panelists?
Dr. Somani, can I add one more?
I think, yes, please go ahead.
Dr. Sumita, you want to say first?
Yes.
Yeah. Now,
Yes, ma'am.
now
Yeah,
the
please.
time have come.
Last
Now the
one
time have
comment
come.
from
We
Dr.
have to
Sumita.
ask. Yeah. Now time have come. We have to ask every patient for the COVID test.
Yeah.
Like HIV and
Yes.
HBsAg, we were asking. We have to ask every patient for COVID test, and if it's positive, manage it accordingly. That's very important.
So,
Correct,
madam, let me be very clear that you need to take the travel history, fever history, contact history. But as far as the COVID test is concerned, we do not have this facility in the private labs. It is only the Sarkari or SMS based test.
Kit will come.
How
Kit
you
will
I
come.
think rapid test will be available very soon. At present,
Rapid
it's
will
available.
Rapid will be available.
Yeah.
So the day it will come, we will have another seminar. Don't worry, webinar or seminar, whatever it is. And any other comment from Dr. Dana? Last comment, Dr. Dana, sir. If no, Dr. Naveen, any comment from you?
So just agreeing with you that whenever we come across a patient who might be positive, as I've written in the chat box, we send the patient immediately to SMS without.
I think that's a good practice. That's a good practice. And I think we have spent more than an hour, and I can see the 39 participants till end. That's a very good number. That is the faith and the charm of the panelists. I will say that they always want to connect the galaxy of the panelists like Dr. Dana, Dr. Sumita Madam, Dr. Pawan, Lalit, and Dr. Naveen Sharma. And with this, I think we should end it here for right now. Maybe that after 7 days or something, we would like to arrange one more webinar. Anybody of you can come up and do it. And with this, I thank my panelists, all my participants. And through this webinar, through all of you, on behalf of all of you, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks to the organizer, that is a Netcast, as well as the sponsor, that is the Lupin Oncology, to come out this Rajasthan or Jaipur-based approach of the webinar where we can discuss our individual states problem, that what are the problems which we are facing in the SMS hospital, Bhagwan Mahavir, Apex hospital, or wherever we are working in our individual capacity. And I have the special thanks message from our senior colleague, Dr. Rakesh Gupta, also and he's appreciating all of you, including me. And with this, I think we should close it here. If there is no more.
Sir, I just have a small comment to make. I gave you an applause in the chat box because your moderation needs to be applauded.
Okay. Yeah. Well done, Somani.
Because Dr. Sumita is very late, so as a penalty, we can ask her to organize a meeting or dinner later on.
Sure. Most welcome.
That will be great, sir. That will be great.
I already assured you, don't worry for the basic needs, and he will always take care of being the senior oncology fraternity in the Rajasthan. Thank you, Dr. Dana.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Sikha, for your words of gratitude. Yeah, thank you. And I think I should disconnect it now. Thank you.
Okay.
हटा दो। आवाज आई?